Okay, this is a quick feedback for Maria Mapimba, a new member here at IELTS Tips and Tricks. And I guess you're Greek. I can't recall ever reading, giving feedback on an essay from someone from the Greece, from Greece. And so, I don't know, even though it had some points already from other mentors, here's my 2 cents. And I have to do it quickly because I got a lot of other things to mark. No. Okay. Now we're going to skip the question here. We're going to skip the content. But what I did was I put your essay into this website here. It's called wordcounter.net. It tells me, first of all, the word count very quickly. But over here, you get some, I think that if I was a candidate, I would want this information myself. Because it tells you not just how many words you have, but how many of them are unique words, so not used more than once. Sentences, that's okay, 14. One sentence is 39 words long. That's not, I've seen a lot longer, 10. Good, average sentence, 22 words. That's a good length. Right? So there's no problems there, as far as I can tell. Keyword density. You use the word more 6 times. Let's take a look at that. People, that's okay because there's really not many good synonyms for people unless you're overusing it, each other language. And we can tell you if you've got 2-word combinations here, each other, yes, of course, might lead, respect towards. And if we can even throw in what's called the common words, the little grammar words and such. Now what's it going to tell me of the 6 times? Okay, of course, the is the most commonly used word in the English language. Okay, but nothing else seems unusual. All right, so now that I got that, what I do is I usually do this in advance. But, like I said, I don't have a lot of time. And so, I have taken your essay and, okay, first let's take a look at a question, which Raphael spotted right away is not a standard question. Now, it does bear some resemblance to an actual Cambridge question, but I can tell from reading it that it was not written by a native English speaker. In the past, people used more formal and long expressions to communicate with each other. Okay, generally, the longer an expression is, the more formal it is. Nowadays, we use fewer words, and they are more informal. What are the main causes of this changing trend? Well, a trend is a change over time. So, the trend itself is changing? No. And what are the advantages / disadvantages? You would never find it that simplified in terms of just a slash like that, but you will find a 2-part question, which is what this is, with these characteristics, where what are the causes, and then what are the advantages and disadvantages. Now, it's very important that you understand what you need to do with each type of question. And a 2-part question, answer both the questions. But within that, you have elements of other essays. Now, when you have an advantages and disadvantages essay, there's 3 types. One just tells you what are the advantages, or asks you what are the advantages and disadvantages. Not to make a judgment. Just discuss what they are. And the other type is to ask you do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, or one, and there you need to make a choice. If you do the wrong one, if you give an opinion about which side is more advantageous when it doesn't ask for it, you're not answering the question. Well, I'm answering more than the question. It's not asking you that. And you shouldn't include anything in your essay that does not directly answer the questions and fulfill one of the banned descriptors. Okay? So, that's why good questions are so important. I use a color code. Familiarize yourself with the banned descriptors and what they mean. So many people communicate has been changed. Now you've used a passive voice, okay? Instead of has changed, which means it just happened by itself, you said has been changed. Passive voice requires there to be an actor. Someone is doing it. And who changed it? It's not like it reads as if some people got together one day and said, let's change the language. Okay, let's do that. But no, the verb change is often very intransitive, which means it does not have an object. The language changed. Okay, what is the subject? The language. What is the object? The language. The language changed. It doesn't have an object, so it can't be passive. These days, people choose. Do they choose? Do people really choose what language they use? Or is it just a product of the language of the day? I think that's more the latter. A more plain and casual vocabulary. No, doesn't say that. It just says fewer words that are more informal. Well, I guess more casual in comparison with the past. You see, wait, did we go to word? Yeah, word counting we did. 303 was fine. It's important that you not include redundancies, meaning don't include words and phrases that you don't need. Okay? Nowadays, these days, people choose a more plain and casual vocabulary. Period. The in comparison with the past, when a more formal and extensive type of language was used, is implied by the fact that you said these days. These days, they do this. You don't have to say in the past they did something else. Otherwise, you wouldn't be saying it, right? You just stop there. Extensive type of language. What do you mean by that? Of the language. Only use the when everyone knows what you're talking about. And what language are we talking about? It hasn't been mentioned. This is the outcome of contribution of various reasons. God, that's a very, very long way to say there are several causes for this. This is caused by many things. And when you have a variety of reasons which cause something, there's a good word for that. It's called a factor. There are various factors. Well, you don't even need this. That would be redundant. Okay, now, however, this is blue because we use the things that slow down the reader are blue, and also incorrect connectors. However is used as a contrast. Okay? So it means the point you're about to make is opposite, or it contrasts, it differs from the previous thing that you're connecting. Remember, connectors connect ideas together. This is an outcome of contribution of various reasons. However, what would follow that? Well, what contrasts that? One of them is more prominent than the other. But no, as far as I'm concerned, you switch to advantages and disadvantages. This is not a contrast to what comes before it. Might lead to severe problems. Is it asking you what problems are going to arise? That sounds to be very much off topic. First of all, I know people start their essay or their body paragraph with first of all, but let me give you some advice. The best way to start your first body paragraph is to create a bridge from the last part of the conclusion. Now, I didn't like the last part of your conclusion, okay, but like, might go severely for the next generations or future generations. Okay. In this generation, however, people talk, this change is new. Okay, you see what I'm saying? You want to start with the last idea, or hark back to your. Okay, this is an outcome of the contribution of various reasons. Okay. Or the first factor contributing to this change is, first of all, it needs to be set up by explaining that there's going to be a list. And it's not a good connector. One of the main reasons that people, why this? Why especially the young ones? I got a picture of an old British sitcom in my head, but the young ones, I'm picturing children. Okay, talk with each other in a more simplified way is the lack of time. Yeah, kids are really pressed for time these days. A lack of time. The extensive work. What? The extensive work time. Just, no, don't need the there. Extensive work time and workload. Okay, these two words, work and time, don't collocate with one another. Now, the amount of work that we have to do in a day is called the workload. So, workload on a daily basis is, again, redundant. the word workload carries with it a meaning of on a daily basis. In either case, whatever it is, it's singular, and you would need leads, individuals, to find a new way of speaking. Really? Okay? Is that what happens? Oh gosh, do we have a choice? I'm so pressed for time, I gotta find new ways to talk. That doesn't really happen. Using fewer words. Fewer words, abbreviations. Using fewer abbreviations, etc. Do not use abbreviations in your IELTS essay. No abbreviations. Do not use etc. Even emojis and pictures are used more often than in the past when we didn't have emojis. At this point, I stopped marking because, like I said, I gotta be marking my own students' papers, not other people's. Especially in social media. Where else? I don't mean to be sarcastic, but here, all right, on the contrary, people in the past. Now, when you're describing a cause, what are the causes? You don't want to mention anything about the past. You're not describing the change. You're trying to think of causes. And it does say causes. So you should include more than one. And you've only got one, and it's not really well supported. Okay? It's just people don't have time, so they look for a new way of speaking. And you have some proof of that? Well, yeah. Emojis, I suppose. But that's not a new way of speaking. It's a new way of communicating. And it's actually more efficient. Anyway, so this stuff here is not needed at all. Okay, from my point of view, again, this is not an opinion essay. An informal, more prompt way. Prompt way is not collocate. Not only the ignorance of the proper use of language, the new generations are dealing with. Now this, I would make it blue because it's incoherent. The speaking of not only ignorance of the proper, the new generations are speaking, or what are they dealing with? Not only, but also. Yes, it's a good structure, but don't reach to try to find something to put in there to create that structure. But the towards one another. Okay, incoherent. I believe that. Okay, so this would be a disadvantage. I believe that in a conversation, maybe expressions. Respect. Yeah, you already said that. And co-speaker. What's a co-speaker? Never heard of that word. So the use of fewer and informal words might lead subsequently to a decay of the values. You couldn't make a person more narrow-minded. What? All right, now here's a common mistake that people make with IELTS essays, is that they assume that you're trying to win an argument, that you're trying to win an essay contest for the best essay, the most persuasive essay, and so they make grandiose points. They make big points about important things, and the worse that they make this thing sound, the more likely they are to win. No. Follow the instructions. It says, what are the advantages and disadvantages? I don't see either one of them there. It's a disadvantage? You're just saying that you're offended by it. It's not a disadvantage. Taking everything. Language inevitably changes as the people and the lifestyle change. Well, there you go. There's a reason why languages change. Lifestyles change. Instead of blaming it on work, you could have just said lifestyles change. Although essential spelled wrong. Is of essential significance. Be of significance. To communicate. Okay. Although needs two clauses. Although it has essential significance in a way that protects and respects our language and ourselves, it should not be, the efficiencies of today's language should not be discounted. Okay. It connects two ideas by starting at the beginning. Okay, it says, although this, that is also true. And it doesn't need a word in between them. So here you just have one clause, and that's not a correct use of although. And you don't, okay, so what I'm seeing here is a lot of extra words that you don't need. Okay, which you may think seems respectful, but it's really makes it hard to read, and it allows you less space to include any ideas that you can support. Here we don't have any advantages or disadvantages. Here we only have one reason, and it's not very clear. So for task response, you need to understand the question types and what particular question is asking. For coherence and cohesion, write shorter sentences, and don't include redundant words. And keep in mind that the connectors aren't just rubber stamp things you put at the front of a paragraph regardless of what you're going to say. Okay? Don't think of this as a puzzle that you can put certain parts into certain places. Okay? That's task 1. Lexical resources, yeah. Explain words that are unclear. More extensive type. I'm not sure what they mean by that. Work time and workload. You don't need both of those. Extensive. It popped up again. And your grammar's okay, really. Some article errors. Those are very common in English language learners. Be careful with that you're not using a tense or a structure just because you're trying to show a complex structure, like with this one here, the not only but also thing. Okay, we use that when it's required, not just to use it. Oh my goodness, 17 minutes. I gotta get out of here. Good luck to you, Mimba, and how do you say in Greece? I know I've heard it before. Salud, or maybe. Okay, goodbye.